Hello all, this is Shruti Pandey. After having spent a decade worth of experience in testing some way or the other, I've been asked by our great community to give the community three top tips for do's and three don'ts that we as testers should know or follow. I will not bore you with what languages, programming, CI/CD, etc., etc., etc. you should go about. And I had so many thoughts coming to my head while I was thinking about this. So I prepared note. Yes, I'm very old school. I take book and pen and I just jotted down 336 points for do's plus don'ts, and I hope this helps. So, starting off with the do's. The first one, being a QA, spend time as early as possible in the SDLC cycle. To elaborate this further, if you're having your scrums or stand up or agile methodology or any stuff of the sort, or you're being given stories by the BA or the developers, start the cycle early, involve the QA, or you as the QA get involved in the cycle early, right from the beginning of what's getting created, what's going to be planned in the sprint or release or Jira, etc., etc. So start early. Second point, be assertive. This is very important because for us as testers and getting the builds at the last minute and stuff like that, we need to be really very assertive as to what's happening or not. To give an example, couple of years back, there was one particular project where I was working on, and we got two builds, but these two builds had totally different architecture, and it doesn't make sense if you're pushing a release in the coming Friday or over the weekend, which is going to have two different architecture altogether. So being assertive in situations like this really helps. So that's your cue. Be assertive. Third one, divide and conquer. So of all my experience as automation tester, there were times where I was the only female in the team. There was time where I was the only person in the team, like an individual contributor. There came a time where I got experience and I had my team, and I chose one thing to do, which is called as divide and conquer. In the world, this tactic really works. So despite coming from a team background or a IC background, and if people get very closed and very protective about their code and things, you shouldn't get too much to that. And when you have a team, make the most use of it. So divide your stuff, divide your work among the other team members that you have, so that you divide and conquer and achieve your things as fast as possible. So these were my top three tools that you should be doing really. Coming on to don'ts. So the first don't is set boundaries. And what do I mean by this? The equation or the dynamics between a developer and tester. So till date, I am in touch with most of the developers whose code I've tested. You should be friends with your developers. That's not a problem. I understand. I mean, there's so much dynamics at work. You can't be this and that and whatever. Don't get into all that nasty business. But what I really mean is, again, to give you an example, there have been times when my developers would sing songs from the Dabang movie for the Pandey effect to please me, or get me birthday cakes written "Happy Birthday Chulbuli Pandey." So great friends of mine, and still they are. But when it comes to work and business, you should maintain that bifurcation, set the boundary. So when you're testing, you don't have to think of, oh, okay, it's my friend's code or this code or that code. No, nothing of the sort. Set boundaries and be very professional when it comes to testing and what you're going to test. The next one would be, okay, don't take too much. What does that mean? I'm thinking for myself, what have I written here? Okay, I remember this one. So there used to be times when a lot of things are given at your plate at the last minute, because no matter how much deadlines we would have tried to tuck with, but there would be slippages, and then you get very less and less and less and least time for testing. So don't take too much. Being again, I think being the assertive part also helps here. Understand how much you can handle in your plate, and don't unnecessarily take too much that you can't do or you can't overdo with yourself or your team. So I think being assertive and set boundaries also comes into picture here, reusing the pointers that I mentioned. But I would really want us to not take too much if there is already so much to do on a QA's plate. As a matter of fact, know when we used to get built, right from deploying it on different components to testing it to publishing messages on Kafka or Stream or this or that, there's so much to do, right? So if there is unnecessary builds and stuff, and or maybe whatever work, try to prioritize what you're going to take up and what you're going to do next, without trying to bombard yourself or your team too much. I know these may sound like too unrealistic or utopian details, but they can be achieved, I'm sure. And I've experienced all of this, so I thought might as well I should share this experience so that it helps somebody. Coming back to the third point of the don'ts, do not distinguish between testers. What I mean by this is, I understand there are full stack engineers and UI and graphic and backend, and I don't know, there are so many types of them, right? And I understand similarly we categorize or distinguish between testers like manual testing, automation testing, API testing, database testing, etc., etc., etc. I think as a tester, you should know all these traits. And I don't want to boast here, but I have also done things which keep coming my way. It's wrong when we categorize like, okay, only females are supposed to do manual testing because we have bigger manual testings and smaller automation testing. Don't discriminate, don't distinguish that, okay, a manual tester is any less than an automation, or an automation person may only know Selenium or Cucumber or Java or Python and may not know API. So do not distinguish, at least as testers and a community, do not distinguish amongst yourself. So these were my three do's and don'ts. Start early in the cycle. The first do, be assertive in the work that you're doing, because it will be our head which will be taken off if something slips, right? Third one, divide and conquer. Divide the work amongst the team if you have one, and you can make the most of your and their time. It doesn't mean that you are not supposed to work, you also work, but divide and conquer. Reiterating the don'ts, set boundaries, professional boundaries when you're testing, and understand like you why you're testing this and what's your end goal. Second, don't take too much on your plate because we tend to take so much. Third, don't distinguish between the testers. And I just want to share a pro tip maybe with you guys. I have spoiled my health a lot being a workaholic, and it's our choice and chance to take. But I would really like to say, if I would not suggest that delay your work or anything, but prioritize stuff. I know again it's very difficult. I'm not talking about time management here, but be very, very mindful of your health and don't screw it up with respect to your work. Take care of your health too. So that's about me.